Shane, you look great on video.
Thanks, Kev. Your voice is just as pleasant as always.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Whoops. Okay, cool. All right, everyone, welcome to the meeting tonight. It is Wednesday, November 11th. Got some big things today. We got a few guest speakers for us tonight. So thank you so much, Shane and Kevin, for joining us. And then after our little presentation, we're going to have our election night. So we're going to have some speeches so you guys can listen in, and we'll be voting on our new e-board. So let's start the meeting.
All right, so we want to welcome Shane and Kevin. Shane and Kevin, if you guys want to do like quick introductions of just like, I don't know if you want to say like where you're from, what school you went to.
Yeah, sure. Start. So, Shane Foley. I went to St. John's University for 2 years, where I played lacrosse. I then transferred to Sacred Heart University, where I finished out my undergraduate, graduate, and residency, and now work at Performance Physical Therapy in our Greenwich office in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Can you guys all hear me?
Yep.
So thanks for having us, guys. Kevin Coach Hay here. From Connecticut, went to UConn, graduated in, I believe, 2011 was my last year there. So currently also work at Performance in a couple different offices. This will be my almost 10th year with the company.
All right.
Kevin's much older than I am.
Great. So I think we can just hop into, I guess, a few questions, right?
Yeah, so I have like the topics. All right, so our first question is, what made you want to be a PT?
You want to start, Shane?
No, you got it. I'll go.
All right. So I grew up in a family with many different medical providers. My dad's been a physical therapist actually for 50 years. My dad's the director of physical therapy for Yale, been there for 50 years. So I grew up watching my dad do it all the time. He had a private practice for a little while and then went back into kind of the hospital and administration. So kind of grew up around the family. My mom's operating room.
Kevin, I think your connection's cut up a little bit.
All right. You good, Kev? No.
So that's kind of what drove me to physical therapy at the end versus orthopedics and surgery. So that's about it.
And so I got into it. I said I started off at St. John's University. I was a finance major for my first 2 years of college. I played lacrosse there, and I actually myself got hurt while playing lacrosse. So I redshirted the year for a low back injury. And that was my first experience being injured or being sidelined off the field. So I got into physical therapy firsthand, and that was really the first time I had something taken away from me. I went to college to study finance, yes, but basically to play lacrosse was the main thing I wanted to do. And then kind of that got stripped away from me and had to divert all my attention to getting better, and just saw the impact that one individual could have on my life and getting me back to something that I was so passionate about. So, and seeing that impactful relationship that you can develop with people and how you can help people to feel the way that I did. That's what I wanted to do with others.
All right. So our next one is, what is your favorite part about being a PT?
Yeah, so my favorite part is really just like kind of what got me into it is like kind of really being able to be a diagnostician with my hands. And then being able to take people from really vulnerable, injured points to have the success of returning to sports, returning to whatever they want to do. So that's kind of, my favorite part about that is really the challenge of diagnosing, yet then treating and taking people through this success without having imaging possible, really. And then working with the people. Like, I really enjoy working with people and individuals, and getting a chance to know clients and patients personally makes coming to work every day a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I agree with Kevin. Working with people is why I got into physical therapy as opposed to other avenues of medicine. I think that the collaborative aspect between patient and therapist on a couple times a week basis is pretty powerful. That, and then kind of perfecting your craft. I think that Kevin and I both will attest to that. We like the company that we work for trying to be leaders in the field of physical therapy, and not just that, but kind of echoing Kevin's point, something that's going to help take people even further than they thought they could.
And kind of going off of that, do you have like what's the worst / hardest part about being a PT?
I mean, I think Shane will agree. There's no doubt the worst part of physical therapy is doing paperwork. That is the single worst thing about the job. There is no doubt about it. There's not many things that are actually bad about the job and all, really. I mean, but the paperwork is probably the only thing that drives me bananas.
You guys get it in school. It sounds like you just get all this time to work with people and get people better. And then the reality of it in the real world is that it's basically like documenting if the plumber came to your house and the plumber was typing, first I arrived at the house, then I closed my car door, then I went into the house. Yeah, notes 100%, worst part of the job.
And dealing with insurance companies that give you a hard time. That's second. That's the only two things that both relate to paperwork.
I'm just curious, how much paperwork, like how many hours a day do you think you spend doing just paperwork?
Yeah, I can't give you like an hour a day thing, but I would say on general, I probably spend 3 to 4 hours a week doing paperwork out of my work week, just related to writing notes for patients, probably.
Okay.
And do you guys kind of like talk to the insurance companies by yourself? Like, is that something like a one-on-one conversation with them?
I mean, only when we're arguing with them for stupid shit about them not wanting to cover for someone who tore their ACL and they gave them like 7 visits.
Yeah.
To get back to normal. So that's probably the only time you really talk to them. In our business and where we work, we don't have to deal with it as much as some other people, I'd say, because we try to cater to clients who just want to get better no matter what. But yeah, we talk to them a little bit, but literally most of it is just through paperwork. It's not really on the phone.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So our next question is, what is a challenge you didn't expect of the job?
I would say the biggest challenge, so maybe a couple things depending on what you want to get into. One would be dealing with parents who think they know what they're talking about. That's probably the number one challenge that you don't expect and think about until you get into it. And two, I would think, a lot of PTs don't think about, but the challenge of what it's like to build yourself as a clinician and with a practice. Like, we have a pretty dynamic group of people, but everybody is sort of building their own niche within a larger practice. And that can be difficult for a lot of people. Like you got to have a little bit of a marketing hat on, and you got to be able to go out and, gain clients and trust of physicians. And that's kind of one thing they don't teach you in PT school, but it's very valuable. So those are they're not hard things, but I think they're the things a lot of people don't think about when they get into it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with both those points. I think those are the two main things, and especially working in that private practice sector, those two things become a little bit more of a reality. And then the other thing, not necessarily a huge challenge, but something that you don't think about as much when you're in undergrad or in PT school, is actually communicating with doctors, right? And there's PT language, and then there's medical language, and there's kind of a bridge between the two. So not only looking at and reading the PT literature, but also diving into and understanding things from the medical side, so that way you can communicate with doctors and getting comfortable talking to doctors and realizing that, at the end of the day, they're just people too. There's nothing to be intimidated by, but how do you go about communicating with them?
And I think the other thing that is difficult at times is really just, I think Shane and I will both tell you, there's not many people who come through the door that we don't really know what's going on, but it's getting patients to buy into being part of the process, and dealing with individual clients can be a challenge. Like that can be like getting people to realize that, maybe a 17-year-old with horrible knees shouldn't be a soccer player. That's kind of some of those conversations, but then also some of those, convincing people that this is the path they need to take, these are the exercises they need to do, and that they're as much part of the process as we are in both telling them what's wrong and giving them the exercises, but the other big part is them doing the work. So getting patients to do the work regularly is also, can be a decent challenge at times.
All right. Next one is, what is something you wish you knew before becoming a PT?
Well, it's certainly not a glamorous job. I don't know if there's anything I wish I knew. I mean, I think one thing everybody going into PT should know is that it is if you want to be successful and build yourself as a clinician, it is not a 40-hour-a-week job. It is you're there for your clients and patients when they need you. And so I think getting into it, it's knowing that, listen, you're going into this because you want to be, at least the reason I'm in it is because I want to be the guy. I want people to count on me for whatever they need. Shane and I both treat ourselves essentially as if we were primary care sports medicine physicians. Like we want people to trust us to come to us first. And so knowing that what comes along with that though is being available, and it's not likely a 40-hour-a-week job. You're likely pushing, 45, 50 plus. So I think depending on what you want to do, you got to kind of have that mindset. You can certainly work in an acute care setting, in a hospital setting where that can be possible. But if you want to work in the setting we do, it's definitely a little bit more of a grind at times.
Is that what most of you guys are interested in, is orthopedic sports, or?
I think some of us are still looking into it, but I would say probably.
Okay. No, something I wish I knew before PT school, truthfully, it doesn't really matter what field you're in. I agree with everything Kevin said, but PT school is really just your entry point into the field. And you get a doctorate and it's super glamorous because it's a doctorate and you're excited and you can hang stuff on the wall. But it's really baseline, right? You're entering into the workforce the same way that everybody else is. And to Kevin's point, that it's really everything that you do in the clinic and everything that you do outside of the clinic to prepare for what you're doing, all the research on your own, the continuing education courses that are going to make you better than the people that are around you, and in turn help you to get the people that are in front of you and on the table better. PT school is just that entry point.
All right, so off that, do you guys feel you have enough time for things like hobbies / home life? So we're kind of talking about the work-life balance, kind of off of what Kevin, what you were saying before.
Shane, I feel like Emily knows something about our company or something.
Yeah, I feel like into this.
Yeah, I think so. Work-life work for people. I feel like I thrive on working a lot, and I feel like I have plenty of time to do what I like to do on the weekends. It's what you make of it. It's how efficient you are with your time. I find I work really hard during the week, but on the weekends I have plenty of time to do what I want to do. It's all about what you choose to do with your career in PT. You can, go into deep research fields, do lots of research. You can treat tons of patients. You can do all sorts of stuff. But I think Shane will probably agree. And where we work, your work-life balance is what you make of it, and how much you have to be honest with yourselves about where your work-life balance, where you draw it. So, yeah, I would say I have plenty of time. I think Shane probably would feel the same way. At times we probably feel like we don't, but I would say most of the time I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that same thing as Kevin. I'm very passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I don't feel like I go to work when I go to work, which is fortunate. Not many people can say that. So as far as like the whole thing of work-life balance, I think about it more as like work-life integration. Like as far as, me sitting down on a Saturday morning, drinking a cup of coffee, if I'm going to pick up something to read, like obviously I like look at the newspaper, catch up with the news, but I enjoy reading PT articles and research articles from surgeons and things like that. And that's just something, strength and conditioning stuff. That's stuff that I'm into. So, I mean, work-life balance. Yeah, I have tons of hobbies and I enjoy go snowboarding a ton in the winter and make time to do those things. But if you're really passionate about what you do, it doesn't necessarily feel like if you have to go in an hour early or stay an hour late, or you're reading something after hours that you're doing work or doing homework. It's to better yourself because you're interested in it and passionate about it.
All right, and our last topic, do you guys have any PT school information or tips, like stuff you remember? I know it was a million years ago.
So you guys are all in pre-PT, like the group, right? Like you're all going to be applying for PT school at some point in the future, right?
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. So the number one thing I tell anybody who wants to become a PT is if you truly want to become a PT, go to whatever school you can go to. Like everybody wants to go to a school, and don't look at you want to look at like where people are ranked, but a lot of those rankings are just based on research output. But if you're truly passionate about becoming a PT, most schools teach the same stuff, maybe a bit differently, but most schools teach the same stuff. So have your school where you want to go to, but go where you can go. It's tough to get into schools these days. And then when you're in school, you make the most out of it by going to clinicals and residency programs that give you the information you're really seeking. Everybody's going to school learning the same stuff. Where you differentiate yourself in it is where you choose to do your clinicals and challenge yourself when you choose those. Don't choose the ones that are the easiest or necessarily in the cushiest locations. I mean, travel if you can, but go to the ones that are going to give you the most experience and grow you as a clinician. So when you come out, your base knowledge is beyond just what a beginner PT should know, and you're more desirable and you have more to offer to, who you're going to work for. So that would be what I would say. And enjoy yourself, because I mean, I don't know what Shane thinks, but I'd probably say because we're super passionate about it, and we made it easy because we were into doing it. So
yeah, I was actually listening to a podcast this week, and this was a topic that came up where somebody asked the same question. And I mean, the biggest thing that I would say is just kind of what I heard on this podcast, which is that you have to consider that a doctorate in physical therapy of a doctorate profession is the lowest paid doctorate first year out of grad school. So the amount of student loans that you're going to accrue during grad school has to kind of balance itself out. Now, the point with that is not to say you don't make a lot of money. You can make as much money as you want to make, depending on how you go about doing it. But should you be taking out a crazy amount of student loans to go to one school versus another if the education is going to be kind of even playing field? And really the main goal of PT school is to set you up for the MPT or the board exam. Consider those things and sit down and talk to somebody about what student loans look like and what loan repayment looks like when you're considering going to PT school, because it's something that you can get away with a very, very good institution that's comparable without the crazy amount of student loans. That's probably the biggest thing that I wish somebody would have said to me.
That's some really good advice. Yeah. Thank you.
Would you guys say PT school is like a pretty competitive environment, or does it depend where you go probably?
I mean, I think it's probably where you go. I mean, I think it's always competitive. Typically, you have people who are cool and everybody wants to do well. I mean, when I went to UK, same reason. So everybody was willing to help each other. So like, yeah, it's competitive. Years together, or 2.5 years, or 2, and that's competitive. But I think in a fun and in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, it's competitive to get in. I went to Sacred Heart University, all problem-based learning, which is very collaborative. So it literally felt like more like playing blackjack than playing poker, right? Like you're just trying to beat the dealer. You just got to pass the test. Everybody's in the same boat, more so than trying to compete against the person next to you. So.
All right. If anyone else has any questions right now, feel free to put them in the chat or just speak out.
Yeah, I have one. I was just curious why you picked your specific field over like inpatient or I don't know, geriatrics or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, the field is maybe the easiest of all of them. It's challenging, but it's not like working with someone who's just had a stroke. We're reteaching people to walk after having, a glamorous ACL surgery because they're a 19-year-old athlete. I went into it really just for the ability to get people back to sports, use my hands a lot to treat tissue, to have a direct effect on someone comes in with IT band pain and I can work on something for 10 minutes and get that pain to go away. The short-term satisfaction and successes you can achieve, whereas in a lot of the other fields of PT, you're looking at more, long-term successes that take, sometimes years. And I was just an athlete and I was involved in sports. That's why I went into it. But in a way, some of those other forms of PT are much more difficult on a daily basis and more even sometimes mentally challenging to the PT.
Yeah, I worked in a brain trauma unit when I was your guys' age, and that's where I did a lot of my shadowing hours. And I'll tell you what, that's some powerful, powerful stuff that you can do with those patients. And I enjoyed my time, but mentally for me, it was just like that. I just knew I wasn't the right type of person for that. I liked it, but I couldn't see myself doing it every day. And I was equally as passionate at that time about that as I was about sports. But also, like, I really like the private practice sector, to Kevin's point, like to make a name for yourself and have people in the community that come seek you out as a primary care physician or primary care provider is something that I really, really enjoy and try and pursue.
How would you say that you make yourself kind of competitive when you're applying to grad schools? Because I know they're really competitive. So how do you set yourself apart so you can get in?
I would say, number one, you have to, nowadays it's kind of sad because you do have to have excellent grades. I think just like going when you apply to college, I think you have to have a well-rounded approach to the hours that you've done, try different fields out. I don't think there's a magic bullet to it. I think you just have to be open to applying to multiple places. And the more most schools everyone's got good grades. So I think it's really setting yourself up, doing multiple hours of shadowing experiences, showing that you're really invested in it. Getting good letters of recommendation from PTs or people out there who, can sniff out talent and tell a school how, interested this person is. I don't know if I have any better advice than that.
I guess one tidbit I'll add to that is just if you think about PT school applications and people that are interested in going to PT school and why they got into it, overarchingly, the story sounds similar to mine. It was like one experience that they had that made them want to go into PT school. And if you think about the essay that you're writing, a lot of people write an essay that sounds very similar. So trying to differentiate yourself and really sit down, whiteboard it out, whatever you have to do, why do I want to do this? And kind of thinking about that essay is really the entry point that's going to separate you. If everybody's coming in with baseline grades and baseline exposure, why? If you're truly passionate about it, that why is going to be something that will help you to stick out more than somebody else.
Yeah, and on Shane's note there, I would say, when you're writing those essays, thinking about getting across the why of why you want to be a PT, where you see yourself taking a career, even if it might change, the reason why you want to help people, I think is, that's what makes good PTs, or people who are, really out there just to help people. And so getting that across, that it's really not just about, I got it, like Shane, most stories for PT school are like that. Mine's not like that, but most are. I got injured and I was into it. Yeah, okay. But why do you want an effective change on the physical therapy field, and what does that mean to you, or things? I think Shane makes a good point. Those are important things to maybe talk about.
All right. Do we have any other questions from anyone?
I just have a quick one. Kind of goes back to, in your job specifically. But like, how do you guys make sure your patients stick with your recovery programs or your home workouts? Because I know when I was doing shadowing, that was like a big issue. Sometimes patients have trouble sticking to the workout, and then when they come back, they're kind of like not on the same progression level as they were before.
Yeah, I mean, well, we use, a home exercise program, that we use to update people. It has an app that goes to their phone. I think the biggest thing, though, that I do is I let people know day one that, like, my job is to, most cases, tell them what's going on, give them the kind of the blueprint and the roadmap of what needs to be done. And then, so it's really a 50-50 thing. It's like, I can give them that information. I can give them a blueprint and program, but if they don't do it, they're either only going to get 50% better or they're just not even going to get better. And except for time does heal some things. So I think it's letting people know that the process is collaborative here. It's like, we're both working together on this. It's not you come in and I do everything. It's you come in, I do some, you do maybe a lot more. And I think if people understand that, then they get better quicker. If they don't, then Shane will tell you, we'll have people who are in there for, 4 times as long as they should be because they don't listen.
Yeah, just early communication. And if on day one, I say to you that your ankle sprain is going to get better and you'll be back out on the field in 4 weeks. If you do what I tell you to do every day and you come to see me 2 to 3 times a week, and I hold up on my end of the bargain and do everything and you don't do it on your end, then you're not holding yourself accountable. So, right, setting goals for people and just communicating, this is what I'm going to do for you, but this is what you need to do for me in order for us both to get where we want to get to together. Then it becomes more of like they're not living up to the expectation that they helped set, as opposed to they're not just satisfying you that they didn't do their bridges,
Gotcha. So just keeping that like open line of communication.
Yeah.
Just the second they come in.
Yeah, it's all about buy-in. Like if you can get buy-in early and just collaborative agreement on something, that's going to be one of the best ways.
Great. Thank you. Do we have any more questions like in the chat or anything right now?
None in the chat. Shane or Kevin, do you have any questions for us? I don't know if that's even a thing, but.
I don't think so. I mean, I would say if you guys have any questions, like, Emily knows how to get in touch with us. It is a COVID world, but we're always happy if we have time to have people come if they're interested in just seeing what our practice is like and how it functions, just to give you a different sense, because it's definitely a different atmosphere than 99.5% of PT places out there. And so, we can't always accommodate, but we're always happy to try to make space for a couple hours for people to come just check out what we do and how it's different. So you guys can always just let Emily know and she can kind of get you in contact with either of us.
Great. Thank you.
All right, guys, have a good night. Good luck. If you need anything, reach out.
Thanks,
Thank
Kevin.
you guys so much. Very appreciate you guys hopping on.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Thanks, Shane.
Bye, guys.
See ya. Okay, great. I think those are 2 perfect candidates for our guest speakers. Last time we had, was it Francesca and
Name's Shannon.
Shannon, yes.
Shannon,
So they were applying into, or no, they already got into PT school. But
they
it
both
was
went to UConn PT school, yeah.
Yeah, so it was good to have Shane and Kevin come in because they're actually in the working field. So that was perfect. All right. So I guess we can move on. We got elections for tonight. We didn't show them the slide, but all good. Okay, so the way this is going to work is we're basically just going to go down the line for the different positions. We have a couple people that are going to be speaking for these positions, and then for the positions where we only have one candidate, one person running for it, they will end up just getting that position. So I guess we will start with the president and roughly around a minute or so, just keep it brief, but we'll start with speeches. So Brittany Anderson, you may begin if you would like to start.
All right, thank you everyone. Hey guys, I'm Brittany. I've been a member literally since my freshman year, fall semester, and I pretty much haven't missed a meeting since. I'm really dedicated to the pre-PT program here. For other leadership, I'm also part of the standardized participant program with the nursing students. Basically, like, well, if anyone's interested, they could join. But I organize the people who come in and act as concerned family members for the nursing students during their STEM labs. And I'm also public relations for Run Club and community outreach for PT. Some other things, I've done tons of research on PT. Like, I literally have so many files, grad school, all that stuff. And just some ideas for the club. I'm thinking maybe get some GRE study sessions in, maybe some interviews within the club. Like, if anyone wants to practice interviews, we could just do it as a group, maybe lower the pressure. Maybe get some more administration directors in to guest speak. And I think it'd be nice, just because everyone loves the hands-on aspect, if once everything's normal and everything, get some PTs in to maybe show some hands-on things you can do with PT, and hopefully they'll work out nice. And yeah, that's about it. I'll be a super dedicated leader for all of you guys, and thanks for hearing me out.
Great. Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks.
Let's see. Next, we have Emily. Emily, if you'd like to start.
All right, hey guys. You probably all know me. I'm Emily. I send you guys probably 1 million emails a week. I am running for president for PT Society because I feel like I would fill Matt's shoes really well and keep this club running smoothly as it has been. If you didn't know, I am a VP right now, so I've already had a lot of great experiences in this club, including, making the PowerPoint slides, sending out emails, getting guest speakers like tonight's and last meetings. So I've already kind of feel like I've had some experience with some presidential roles for this club. So I've also like organizing the shirts, like I've had a bunch of experience that I would love to be able to help like future e-board members with. And all in all, I think this club is like a really great way for students interested in PT to get more experience and info in the field. I know like before I joined, I knew practically nothing. So I would really love to just continue to help students that are struggling and wanting to know more like we all are.
Great. Thank you, Emily. Okay. So we are just going to go right down the line, do the speeches, and then we're going to send out a survey so you guys can vote after the meeting. So we're going to hop right over to vice presidents, and we're going to throw it right back to Brittany, if you'd like to start that again.
The same carryover speech. If president doesn't work out and everything, but yeah, I will. If I'm president, vice president, I will make sure I can do whatever I can for this club, and I just want to support you guys as much as possible. And yeah, that's the same speech as before, so I'll just let that carry over.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And then vice president, we got Jackie.
Hi guys, sorry I had my camera off. I was eating dinner. I just got back from work. So for elections, so I'm Jackie. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a junior exercise science student. I've been in the Pre-Physical Therapy Society since freshman year and most recently served on the e-board as treasurer this past year. So as treasurer, I dedicate a lot of time to making the club's budget, make sure it had a constant influx and efflux of funds, and pay for regular meeting costs like t-shirts, supplies, gifts for our guest speakers. And I worked really closely with Matt and Emily this past year in coordinating the budget and setting up opportunities for you guys. This year, I'm running as vice president so I can have a stronger role in the club and also introduce some more opportunities for club members to stay engaged. And I know it's difficult right now with meetings being virtual, but I want to continue to work with the local practitioners in the grad school to bring more information to you guys, whether it be a virtual format like now or a physical format. And as vice president, I also want to connect you all with opportunities to become more involved with club operations. I recognize that sometimes this club has a divide between e-board members, and I really want to bridge that gap and have you involved at every single step of the process and every single meeting to create a dialogue and focus on the stuff that you guys really want to focus on. And a lot of us are in the same boat in terms of academics and interests, and I want to just bring this together in this club. So I hope you all share the same vision and believe in my ability to carry this out as vice president.
Great. Thank you so much, Jackie. Okay, we have one person running for treasurer, Aaron. So I guess a quick congrats to Aaron. Secretary, Lauren. Congrats, Lauren. You guys are running unopposed, so I guess there's no need for a speech unless you would like to talk. But I think the last one we have for today is community outreach. We have Megan and Brittany Leclerc. So Megan, if you'd like to start.
Hi, my name's Megan, and I'm a junior allied health major. I joined this club recently, and I really want to get more involved after attending some meetings. And I thought that running for a position would help me get more involved. I want to run for a community outreach position, and I think that my participation could be a good asset for this club. I've helped make and hang up posters for clubs in high school in the past, and I'm familiar with Instagram and other forms of social media. I would really love to see more activity on our social media, and I think it would be really beneficial to help advertise our club and in order to spread information about meetings and events. And if I were to become part of community outreach, I would help make Instagram posts about our club and meeting information to post bi-weekly, and possibly some flyers to put out around campus as well. I've talked to Emily about this position in order to learn more about the tasks and to learn more about what this position entails, and I believe that I could accomplish these tasks effectively. So yeah.
Great, thank you, Megan. And then next we have Brittany Leclerc.
Hi guys. I just decided to run for this position because I wanted to be able to take part in the club more. I've been in the club since I was a sophomore. I'm a senior now, but I haven't been able to come to meetings a lot because before COVID, I had a lot on my plate and everything. So now with COVID, I've been able to get a lot more involved, which I'm super excited about. And then I wanted to be able to take part more in the club. So I wanted to do something that would be not take a ton of time, but something I could also be creative with. And then I talked to Emily and she said she thought this would be a good match. And so I just I was looking at her Instagram and I wanted to I don't know, just be more creative with it because I know we all do stuff to obviously help our chances in getting in physical therapy school and doing different things to up our experiences and stuff. So I wanted to advertise that more and I don't know, kind of showcase people and everything. And I'm also in a sorority, so I kind of I have plenty of people to talk to for how to advertise for clubs and organizations. So.
Great, thank you so much, Brittany. And then I think that is it for speeches. Public relations, we only have one candidate, and that is Colleen Brady. So congrats, Colleen. And I think that is it. So for elections, we'll be sending out the survey, which you guys can vote for tonight, and then we'll have those results back real quick, and then we could send those out in an email and have the new e-board running. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk, to have your speeches ready, and we will get right back to you on the results. Any lasting comments, questions, concerns?
No, just keeping an eye out for the email. Should be sent out within a half hour after the meeting, and then depending on how the voting participation's looking, I mean, I'm probably just gonna send out the results by the end of tonight, just so we all know, because I'm sure we all just want to know. So yeah, just keep a lookout for those emails.
Great. Yep. And then I also have the remainder of the t-shirts. So if you guys don't have your t-shirts yet and you need them either delivered or if you need to meet on campus or anything like that, feel free to contact me. And then also, good job on the fundraiser for Blaze. I think we got a good amount of money for that. We're going to be getting some information about how much we raised. So thank you to those who participated. And I think that wraps it up. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Be on the lookout for the survey.